Hello and welcome to day 17 of our 30-day yoga therapy challenge. Today we are going to continue to explore full body movement, and the only prop that you'll need for today is something like this wooden dowel that I have here. It doesn't have to be this long. It could just be a broom handle or a mop handle, and you can even try it without, but it's always nice just to have it handy if you have something similar. So if you need to put the video on pause to go grab that, or you can always come back to it later. So let's start by coming up to standing. And we'll start in our mountain pose, feet hip distance apart, sensing into the center of the heels, the base of the big toes and the base of the baby toes. Maybe closing your eyes or softening your gaze down towards the floor. We'll just take a moment to turn inward, noticing sensation with the feet. Notice how the feet connect with the ground. Is there pressure on the inside edges of the feet, the outside edges? Is there more weight in the heels or the balls of the feet, or is it evenly distributed? You don't have to change anything, just notice. And then notice sensation in your lower legs, in your knees, in your upper legs, your hips, the low back. Check in with your mid-back, your upper back, your shoulders, your arms. You notice your belly. Is there gripping or holding, or is it relaxed? What about your ribs and your chest, your neck, your jaw, your forehead, your hands? Just recognizing what our baseline is at this moment. From here, if your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. We're going to shift the weight into the left leg and take a step back with the right. So if you're watching me, you'll notice that I'm not really leaning forward. I'm not taking a huge step back. I want to keep my torso as neutral as possible, pelvis as neutral as possible. And taking a step back, I'm on the ball of my back foot. And then let the front knee bend so the knee stays over the ankle. So we're just coming into kind of a modified high lunge. If you go too far, then you start to lean forward and there's stuff going on through the pelvis, and then we start to grip in order to hold ourselves into balance. So let's just keep it really simple, really gentle. And if it feels like you're too far back, just make it smaller, right? We don't want to feel strain through the knee. If it's too much on your toes, you can always bring the heel down, and that might mean making a slightly shorter stance so you can comfortably have the heel down. But if you're okay in the lunge with the heel lifted, let's start there. And then see if you can sense into the 3 points of that front foot: center of the heel, base of the big toe, base of the baby toe. And then maybe bringing your left hand to the outside of your thigh and pressing your thigh into your hand. And notice how that experience might change what you're feeling through your leg and your foot. Easy breath. And then to bring this into a full body movement, maybe bringing the arms up into cactus arms, or you can bring your arms up in front to a comfortable height without arching your back. So you decide. And if it's better just to have the arms down today, you can have the arms down. And I love when I'm in the kitchen and I'm waiting for like water to boil, or just waiting for like the timer to run down on the stove, I'll just like throw in a lunge for 20 or 30 seconds. And then I get a nice stretch through the front of the hip, back of the legs, some strengthening and balancing work as well. And if you would like, maybe bringing a twist. So the hips and legs are going to stay fixed, and we want to find that movement through the rib cage. So we're, again, using our obliques to rotate the ribs, elbows staying in line with the shoulders. If you're in cactus arms, being in a place where you can breathe with ease. If you fall over or lose your balance, just reset again. You could even bring your arms into it. So bringing the right arm across to the leg, and extending the left arm behind. And know that twisting is an invitation. You don't have to do it. You can just stay in the lunge and then coming back. And now if you have your heel lifted, see what it feels like to start to bring the heel towards the floor. Depending on the length of your stance, it may or may not come all the way down. So just enjoy that stretch in the back of your leg. Or you can make your stance a little bit shorter so the heel comes down and you'll still feel a stretch. And then while you're here, let's bring the right hand to the side of the head. Press the back of the head into your hand and let the left arm hang. And you're going to start to gently take a side bend to the left, to the side of that bent knee. Just finding a little bit of length, a little bit of stretch through the right side of your body. And coming back. And then with the same control that you step back with, we can even use the idea of the marionette string on the front of the thigh. And we're going to draw that leg forward and down. And then we're going to shift the weight into the right leg, taking the left leg straight back, coming into a high lunge. So the back heel is lifted, the front knee is bent. You can always bring that back heel down and shorten your stance. Well, let's find the 3 points of that front foot. Let the hand come to the side of the thigh and press the upper leg into your hand. That might change how your feet connect with the ground. There might be more awareness in that front leg. Maybe you're sensing a stretch at the front of your hip or in the back of your leg. Maybe bringing the arms into it. And then notice your breath, breathing easy. And then let's start to explore a twist to the right, only going as far as that left hip doesn't follow. So if the hips start to move, just come back and reset. See if you can keep the elbows lined up with the shoulders if you're in cactus arms. And when you find your twist, maybe bringing the left arm across and taking the right arm back. And breathe. Good, coming back to center. Let the right hand come down, left hand to the back of the head, gently pressing the head and hand together. And then start to explore going into a gentle side bend towards the right. So we're stretching the left side of the torso. Maybe sensing that connection between your shoulder blades and your hip. Coming back to center. Release the arms down. Imagine that you have a string on the front of your thigh and you're pulling it forward and then releasing it down, coming back into your mountain pose. Nice. And then just notice how you feel in standing. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me from the side. We're going to stay in our mountain pose and we're going to explore coming down into kind of a modified squat or chair sit. And the goal isn't to come down really, really far. But what we want for today's practice is to find coordination between your hip, so right here, like at your hip crease, at your knee, and at your ankle. So we want those 3 points that are flexing to move together. So we want to find an even tempo between hip, knee, and ankle. And And we should keep a neutral spine. So if you sense that your back is rounding as you come forward, or that you're sticking your head forward, just come back and reset. And then go a little bit slower. Don't go quite as far. Another common pattern is people will bend at their knees, but then nothing's happening at their hips. Or they bend at their knees and then stick their hips back. So that would not be a coordinated action. Or sticking the bum back and then bending the knees. We want them to move together. So sometimes situating yourself so you can see yourself in a mirror can be helpful. Or this is where I like to use the dowel. Bringing the dowel across the front of my hips, right where my hip creases are. And then using that to kind of push the hips back. And that's reminding my torso, my spine, to stay neutral. So explore this. Maybe looking down, watching the knees. Do the knees have a tendency to drop in, or are they kind of going out? Is something funky happening with the legs? And see if you can move in a range where they just track forward. So forward would be whatever position your knees are facing. It kind of stays in that same trajectory as you come down. Giving an equal balance in the feet. And then when you feel comfortable with it, you can hold. And if you're using a broomstick or something, you can set that off to the side. Maybe bringing the palms together. And then we can start to explore a twist in this position. If the legs start to tire, come back up. And then when you're ready, coming back down. Palms come together. And that's the rib cage that's rotating. So the pelvis and the legs are still. And if you're kind of getting that twisting motion through the hips and the legs, just come back and reset and go a little bit smaller. Let's see if we can really connect with those core muscles to initiate the twist as opposed to the legs or the shoulders. Try a couple twists to each side. Really gentle. And then when you come up from your bum crease, the bottom of your bum, lift from there, lifting up. You can try it a couple more times. Coming down, hips, knees, and ankles. And then lift from the bum crease. So really trying to bring effort into the legs and out of the upper body. Couple more. Nice. And then just be in standing for a moment. All right. From here, let's come back into the high lunge. So we'll shift the weight into the left leg, stepping the right leg back. The heel can be lifted. So ideally the heel is lifted here. And then we're going to bring our hands onto the side of our pelvis, the side of our hip. And the movement is now pelvis moving on leg bone. So I want you to think of that left leg is fixed. Press your leg into your hand. And then take your right hip, hand on the right hip. We're going to start to draw the hip backwards. And as you draw the hip back, you're going to pivot on the ball of your foot, kind of coming towards warrior two legs. So now I've got the back heel down, but the position of my front leg hasn't changed. So let me change my orientation here so you can see it from both directions. So we're moving pelvis on the leg bone. Left leg is fixed. I can show you with my skeleton as well what's happening. I need to get a full skeleton, but I can show you with this pelvis. So let me get closer here. This leg is fixed and we're turning the pelvis, so the leg bone's still in the socket. We're moving here. And depending on what's going on with the hip stuff, you might find that you don't open all the way up and the heel doesn't come down, and that's okay. So maybe your exploration is just like this. Maybe it's just a small kind of micro movement, getting a sense of, is my pelvis able to move? It's like, is there some movement like right in the groin area? Or is like everything going together? Is that knee dropping in? Right, so explore and see. And then we can step forward and do the same thing on the other side. So from mountain pose, we pause, shift the weight into the right leg, and take your left leg back into a high lunge. Find 3 points of the front foot, press the leg into the hand. And then we're going to start to draw the left hip back, and the right hip comes forward. Start small. Get a sense of how the pelvis is moving around the head of your leg bone. And if you're not sure, that is okay. Sometimes it can be nice to kind of get your hands right in there. It's like feel what's happening on the outside of your hip and the front and back of your pelvis. I'm just going from a couple different angles so you can kind of see what's happening. Front, back. And there will be a little bit of movement through that front leg, but it's not like the leg's not doing anything crazy like dropping in or dropping out. And so if that's happening for you, just go smaller with your movement. If you're feeling strain through your knee, go smaller with your movement. Like teeny tiny is perfect if that's what your body needs. So there are other ways of exploring this as well that maybe we'll get to later this week. Maybe a couple more times. And then when you've had enough, stepping the left foot forward and being in your mountain pose and noticing what you feel. All right. You can remain standing or you can come into a sitting position. We're going to close off our session with 3-level breathing. So we're going to do 3-part inhale. So the first part of your inhale is filling up the bottom of the lungs. The second part of the inhale is filling up the middle of the lungs. And the third part of the inhale is filling up the lungs all the way to the collarbones. And then the exhale is a full exhale, letting it all out. So we'll do it a few times so you've got a couple opportunities to kind of find that breathing pattern. All right, comfortable seat. Breathing in and out through your nose. Let's exhale together. And then take a sip of breath into the bottom of the lungs. Hold the breath. And then inhale, middle lungs. Hold the breath. And then inhale, fill all the way up. And exhale it all out. Inhale, bottom. Hold. Inhale, middle. Hold. Inhale all the way. Hold. And then exhale it all out. Inhale, 1. Inhale, 2. Inhale all the way. And exhale. Inhale, bottom. Hold the breath. Inhale, middle lungs. Hold the breath. Inhale all the way up to the collarbones. Hold the breath. And exhale. Last round. Inhale, bottom. Hold the breath. Inhale, middle. Hold the breath. Inhale all the way. Hold your breath. Exhale. Breathing normally. All right. That is today's practice. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to joining you tomorrow. Bye for now.